Three students and a university staff member are discussing whether university application fees create financial barriers for students.
I think application fees can be a real problem, especially for students who want to apply to several universities. Even if each fee seems small, the total cost can become quite expensive. Students from low-income families may have to limit the number of universities they apply to. I also think many students don't know about fee waivers, and the process of applying for one can sometimes feel confusing or embarrassing.
I agree that fees shouldn't prevent capable students from applying. Originally, these charges were probably introduced to cover administrative costs, but they shouldn't become a barrier to education. Maybe universities could make fee waivers much easier to access, or even introduce a system where students don't have to pay an application fee at all. A simpler process would make admissions fairer and more inclusive.
That's a fair point, although the university does depend on these fees to support its admissions system and administrative work. Completely removing them might not be practical everywhere. However, I think there are better alternatives. For example, some universities could charge the fee only after a student is accepted and decides to enroll. At the same time, they should clearly explain the waiver options so students aren't discouraged by the cost.
Exactly. I think transparency is really important here. Students shouldn't have to search through complicated websites just to find out whether they qualify for a waiver. There are also students who aren't technically low income but still struggle when they have to pay several application fees. So, the system should consider different financial situations instead of helping only a very limited group.
Yes, and I think reducing the psychological pressure would help as well. Some students may avoid asking for financial assistance because they feel uncomfortable or think it will make them look less capable. Universities could make the waiver process automatic or much more straightforward. That way, students could focus on choosing the right university rather than worrying about whether they can afford to apply.
I think we all agree that the application process needs to become more flexible and accessible. Universities still need funding to operate their admissions systems, but they can balance that with fairness by improving fee waivers, increasing transparency, and considering alternative payment models. The main goal should be to make sure that application costs don't stop qualified students from getting an opportunity to study. Three students are discussing how to balance academic responsibilities with friendships, relaxation, and personal well-being at university.
I'm finding it really difficult to balance studying with having a social life. When I have lots of assignments and deadlines, I feel guilty if I take time to relax or meet friends. But when I focus only on my studies, I feel like I'm missing out on university life. I've even tried studying while hanging out with friends, but honestly, I end up being distracted and don't get much done.
I completely understand that. I think spending too much time on academics can eventually lead to burnout, but ignoring your studies for social activities creates another problem. What works for me is separating my study time from my free time. I focus properly when I'm studying, and then I take a real break without feeling guilty. I've also learned that it's okay to say no sometimes instead of trying to do everything.
That makes sense. I've also started setting clearer boundaries for myself. Instead of planning huge amounts of work, I set smaller and more realistic goals, and then I reward myself with a short break. I don't think socializing always has to mean spending hours at a party either. Even a quick walk or a short conversation with friends can help me relax and feel connected.
I like that idea because I often make things harder for myself by trying to complete a huge list of tasks at once. Then I become stressed and don't enjoy anything. Maybe I should start planning my day with specific study periods and some proper downtime. That way, I'll know when I need to work and when I can actually switch off.
Exactly. I think balance is really about making both parts of your life manageable. We shouldn't compare ourselves with students who seem to have everything perfectly organized, because we don't know what their situation is really like. Getting enough rest and spending some time with people we care about can actually help us study more effectively in the long run.
Absolutely. I think universities should also recognize that students need more than academic support. Having a healthy balance between coursework, friendships, and relaxation can make university life much more enjoyable. If we set realistic goals, protect our free time, and take care of ourselves, we can probably perform better academically without sacrificing our well-being. Three university students are discussing how course materials can better represent diverse voices and experiences.
I think our university could do much more to include different perspectives in course materials. In subjects like history and literature, we still see a lot of Western viewpoints, while other cultures and underrepresented groups don't get enough attention. I don't think diversity should mean adding 1 or 2 extra readings. These perspectives should be part of the main curriculum because they can give students a much broader understanding of the subject.
I agree with you. Some departments are already trying to update their reading lists, although changing an entire curriculum can take quite a long time. I actually think including different viewpoints makes classes more interesting because students can question traditional ideas and look at issues from new angles. We could even allow students to suggest readings connected to their own backgrounds, which might lead to much richer discussions.
That's a good idea, and from the university side, creating a more inclusive curriculum is also part of promoting equality and diversity. But I think we need to look beyond simply changing the names or images in course materials. We should consider whose experiences are included in the readings, examples, and case studies. Workshops for teachers and regular reviews of course content could help departments identify areas that are still missing.
Exactly. Maybe students and teachers can work together on this instead of the university making all the decisions alone. A small committee could review course materials and suggest useful changes. It would also give students a chance to explain which perspectives they feel are missing. I think that would make the changes more meaningful rather than just something done to meet a diversity requirement. I really like that approach. Learning about different cultures and experiences isn't only beneficial for students who come from those backgrounds. It can help everyone develop stronger critical thinking skills because we're exposed to ideas that may challenge what we already believe. It also makes classroom discussions more engaging and encourages students to think beyond a single viewpoint.
I completely agree. Course materials should reflect the diversity we see in the real world. If universities include a wider range of voices in their readings and discussions, students can develop greater awareness, empathy, and understanding. So, although changing the curriculum may take time, making it more inclusive would ultimately improve the learning experience for everyone. Three university students are discussing how excessive screen time in online classes can affect students and how digital learning could be improved.
I think online learning can become really exhausting when we're constantly looking at screens. We have online lectures, digital readings, assignments, and sometimes even long video meetings. After several hours, my eyes hurt and I find it difficult to concentrate. Maybe universities could provide audio versions of some readings or allow students to complete certain tasks offline. I also think longer online classes should include proper screen breaks.
I've experienced the same thing, especially during long video sessions. After staring at a screen for hours, it becomes really hard to stay focused. I think giving students more flexibility would help. Some activities could be completed asynchronously, so students could choose when to watch lectures and take breaks when necessary. Universities could also teach students simple ways to manage screen time instead of expecting them to stay online continuously.
I agree with both of you. I've noticed that students often lose energy during long virtual classes, even though digital tools can make learning much more convenient. Perhaps teachers could include more activities that don't require a screen. For example, students could go outside for observations, keep a journal, or complete practical tasks. That would give them a chance to learn without spending the entire day in front of a computer.
Exactly. I also think students shouldn't feel pressured to keep their cameras on all the time when they're already tired. Sometimes we need a short break from being on video. A better balance between online and offline activities would probably help us stay focused and reduce stress. Online learning is useful, but it shouldn't mean that every part of studying has to happen through a screen.
That's true. We could also encourage students to follow simple habits, like taking regular eye breaks and stepping away from the computer between classes. More flexible schedules would make that much easier. I don't think we need to completely avoid digital learning, we just need to use it in a smarter way and give students some control over how they manage their study time.
Absolutely. The main goal should be creating a healthier online learning environment. Teachers can combine digital lessons with offline activities, while universities can give students more flexibility and listen to their feedback. If we find the right balance between technology and traditional learning, students can benefit from online education without feeling constantly tired or overwhelmed by screen time. 3 students are discussing whether student influencers on social media have a positive or negative effect on university life.
I think student influencers can be both helpful and distracting. Seeing people share study routines or campus experiences can sometimes motivate me, but some content feels too perfect. When students constantly show expensive gadgets, perfect grades, and highly organized lives, it can make others feel like they're not doing well enough. Universities should teach students how to use social media in a healthy way and remind influencers to be honest about their struggles too.
I agree. There are definitely useful posts, like productivity tips and advice about managing university work, but it's easy to compare yourself with people who seem successful all the time. Everyone has a different situation, and social media usually doesn't show the difficult parts. I think professors and student support services should recognize how much these platforms can affect students' study habits, confidence, and expectations.
That's true, but I don't think we should blame student influencers completely. Some of them share genuine experiences and can actually help new students feel more comfortable on campus. Creating content can also be a creative activity or even a way to earn money. The important thing is authenticity. If influencers are honest rather than pretending everything is perfect, their content can be much more useful.
Exactly. I would much rather watch someone talk honestly about struggling with an assignment or failing a test than someone who always looks successful. Real experiences can make students feel less alone. Maybe universities could even work with responsible student creators to promote useful resources, campus events, and support services instead of encouraging content that is mainly about showing off.
I like that idea. Social media isn't going away, so students need to learn how to manage it rather than simply avoid it. We could have workshops about healthy media habits, dealing with online pressure, and understanding that social media doesn't show the whole reality. That could help students stay motivated without constantly comparing themselves with others.
Yes, I think balance is the key. Student influencers can have a positive role when their content is genuine, useful, and connected to the university community. At the same time, students should remember that online posts are usually carefully selected and don't represent someone's complete life. If we use social media thoughtfully, it can become a helpful part of campus life rather than another source of pressure.